What's up, everybody, and welcome to episode 187 of the Stand Up Guys podcast. I host the incomparable Zach Jones, joined by nobody this week, flying solo. AJ got a new job, so our schedules are a little more difficult to line up. So I thought I'd try something a little new this week and fly solo here. And we'll see how you guys like it. Today I'm going to be reviewing Furiosa. And before, eventually, I will do here in a little bit. I will do a very spoiler-heavy, probably the most in-depth review you'll find online. Probably more in-depth than you'd ever need to go. But that's what I do for the people. But before I go balls deep on this review, we like to start off with a skin deep review. This is where I'm just going to give my general impressions, spoiler free impressions of the film. And I'm going to tell you whether I think you should skip this movie, wait for streaming, or if it is indeed worth seeing on the big screen. So Furiosa, of course, this is a prequel to Mad Max Fury Road, a movie that I absolutely love, that caught me by surprise when it came out in 2015, I believe. Because at that point I had never seen it. To be honest, still haven't seen it. Probably shouldn't even admit to this, but I have not seen the Mel Gibson Mad Max movies. One of these days, maybe I'll get around to it. But I absolutely did love Fury Road, and so this is definitely one of my most anticipated films of this year. And I got to say, it did not disappoint. I really had a great time with Furiosa. And, the first question people are going to ask is it as good as Fury Road? And the answer is no. It's not as good as Fury Road. But that's not anything bad necessarily, because Mad Max Fury Road is so good. This movie was always going to have a hard time quite living up to Fury Road. But that being said, I think it does a great job. I thought this was a very thrilling, well put together movie, and I had a great time with it. Prequels are always tricky because it's that thing where you know the destination, right? You know where you're going to end up, but the question is the destination worth the journey? And the answer here is absolutely. Furiosa, great time at the movies. Performance-wise, Chris Hemsworth as the villain Dementus, I thought was great. Yeah, he's got a big old prosthetic nose, and his accent very unique, very kind of nasally, maybe like I was thinking maybe kind of like a New Zealand type accent. Not that I have any special knowledge of accents, but that's kind of what it sounded like to me. Anya Taylor-Joy, it's funny because she's one of those people, like, her character is not dialogue heavy, so really it's just her performance is mostly just facial, and she has very expressive eyes, which is probably one of the reasons they cast her in this role with limited amount of speaking. But I thought she did great too. And then there's also a lot of the same characters from Fury Road you'll see here in this movie. Although I believe the actor who played Immortan Joe in Fury Road passed away. So I think there's a different actor behind all the, costuming, but still works just fine. Seems like the same character in the way he's written and mannerisms and everything. And you also see some of God, I forget the character. They have funny character names too, but the guy from Fury Road that has like the fake nose, and he had like the bad case of gout in Fury Road. Always like he's got like the nipple chains. Always played with his nipples. That guy's just over the top disgusting, but it totally works. Just so many colorful characters in these movies. Um, I will say I heard because you know Fury Road. The amazing thing about Fury Road is so many of the effects they did was practical, and like Fury Road's one of those movies I watch, and I'm like, I do not know how 100 stuntmen didn't die filming this movie. Um, and really, I think if you ever wanted to exhibit A for why the Oscars should have a stunt category, like Fury Road was it. Just amazing stunt work, and a lot of amazing stunt work in this movie as well. Now, I have heard that this movie, just for like ease of shooting and also just the experience they had making Fury Road, that this movie does have a lot more CG in it than Fury Road did. But to me, it looked great. Like there really some of the there's especially towards the middle of the movie, a big, you know, mid chase like vehicle fight like he had in Fury Road, and it's thrilling. And I'll give it up to him. They come up with some. They have a lot of new ideas for what the guys could do that they did not do in Fury Road. Even though this is a prequel, I guess so they would have had the same uh, technology, technology, assumingly that they could have used in Fury Road. Maybe that's the problem with doing prequels sometimes. But I'll get to it when I get into spoilers. But that part of the movie was my favorite part of the movie, and I thought there was just like it was just like that block is maybe like a 20 to 30 minute just like straight action scene, and it's fantastic the whole way through. I really love that. Um, so yeah, I mean, I think people can probably guess my answer already as to what I recommend you see in this in a theater, and the answer is 100%. You should see this in a theater. It's worth the big screen experience. I will say, disappointingly, this movie is not, at least first week, not doing well at the box office, and could maybe even probably will lose money. I think the worldwide gross opening weekend is somewhere between like 64 and 66 million. I think the budget I want to say was something like 160 some million, and then you got to figure in general rule of thumb. They say usually you can almost double that for like advertising costs and such things. So it's definitely got an uphill battle if it's going to make any money. So, if you're watching this and you're kind of on the fence, or you're like, oh, it'll probably be streaming in a couple weeks, which, hey, that's what they did with the Fall Guy, so it wouldn't surprise me. But I say don't do that. I say this is definitely one of the movies this year that's worth your money to go to the theater, and it's a good time. Trust me, it's a great time. Funny talking about the the whole state of the movie industry, and a lot of big movies flopping and stuff. I follow David Jaffe on Twitter. He is, of course, if you're not familiar, used to be a video game designer. Worked on the Twisted Metal franchise, the original God of War, and many others. He's an interesting guy. He's got a YouTube channel too. I suggest people give him a listen. He's a funny guy as well, but also just has some great insights into the video game industry. But he tweeted something I thought was interesting, which is what's happening to the movie industry. He thinks is kind of akin of what happened to the arcade industry, and how in the 80s arcades were this huge thing. Everybody went to them, had a great time, and then late 80s, early 90s, they start to dwindle down and down and down. And so now arcades, they're still around, but they're this kind of really niche thing. And basically what he said is, the reason it happened is because the playing at home experience through, console and PC wasn't necessarily as good as the arcade experience. In some cases, maybe not, but it was good enough. And he thinks a similar thing is happening now to where, and I kind of agree with him. Let's be honest, most of us these days have like good sized televisions with fantastic resolution, pretty good sound. And if they don't have good sound, you have you can buy a sound bar, you have other surround sound options to where you can get pretty dang good sound. Now, is that sound and picture ever as good as the theater experience? No, but also you don't have the inconveniences of the theater. I think for me the biggest thing is you get to the theater and you're almost punished if you go there on time. It's almost like a sucker's game to actually show up to a movie screening on time, because you're going to have to sit through not only a million trailers, but also like you know whatever theater chain you're at, you're going to get their stupid advertisements as well. And so by the time you actually get to your movie, you're like exhausted. You're just like, good God, get on with it. And I think it's something. And I get that people have their smaller. Some people have access to probably smaller theaters that don't do that kind of stuff, quite as bad. That maybe have. I heard it's like some smaller theaters are even like we'll only play 3 trailers and then get to your movie or whatever, which is cool. But majority of people are going to be going to chain theater spots, and they're going to be sitting through just an ungodly amount of advertising. And like I'm a person, like I like movie trailers. I don't mind a couple of them, but sometimes it gets egregious how many they show you before that you actually get to the movie you're watching. So um, I think that plays into it. And then also like and I know this has been brought up, but the shortening of the window from uh, the theatrical screening to going to streamers, it's shortening. And it's like I totally get if you're on a fence of a movie and you're not completely sold and you're just like, yeah, I'll wait a month or two, that's fine. Like I get it, I've done it for movies. Like um, it makes sense to you're only going to go to the theater for those movies you're really really pumped to see. So um but I don't know, I hope the theater scene never becomes quite as niche as arcades. But we might be heading that direction. It's I think it'll be a couple interesting years to coming up to see box office and kind of trends of people seeing movies theatrically.